found us. More podcast, where we want you to know God more deeply, find lasting freedom, discover your destiny and make an eternal difference. Now.
Well, welcome to this week's podcast. Do you wonder why you take the time each week to listen to more podcasts? Well, I'll tell you why. More stands for maximizing opportunities for right now and eternity. So stop asking why you listen. Just never forget to listen and pass it on. Well, this episode has been brought to you by the makers of Build a Snowman. Want to build a snowman, but all you have is snow? Well, allow Build a Snowman to make your dreams into reality. With their specially curated carrot nose, stick arms, coal eyes, knitted scarf, and hat, you're only one afternoon away from a memorable Instagram post. That's Build a Snowman. Find it on Amazon. It's for real.
For real? I was about to say, where do you come up with this?
All this stuff all these people that sponsor us are usually on the internet, Amazon, so you can find it. Yeah.
Wow.
It's amazing the sponsors we get on here.
That is incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. But I was looking for a sponsor for this podcast because we still have snow on the ground, so I thought maybe
a little bit. I was surprised at how much is melted though.
It is. And then it's supposed to get up to 47 today, and then by Friday it's supposed to be 50.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I will too. I'm not going to complain, but it just makes it a little slushy and muddy.
It does.
Yeah, and it's
makes my car really messy.
I know. I got to take my car. It's one of the things that drives me nuts is my car getting dirty.
Yep.
And I don't like it because I don't want to rust. And so right now, our 4Runner is being used by another family that needed to use a vehicle. And so I know it's getting dirty right now and it's driving me nuts. And the one that I'm driving right now, the car that we're driving right now, I don't have one of those passes to go to Fast Eddie's and get it clean whenever I want.
Yep.
So it's killing me. And so I'm like, and Amy's like, you're not going in there and spending $14 to get it cleaned every time you go in there. Because the other one, I got a $23 thing a month and I can go in and.
Yeah, I signed up for the new one.
Did you?
Yeah.
I went through there. Did you like it?
I did like it. What I like about it is you pull out, you can vacuum it real quick.
Oh, that's true.
And pull out.
Yeah.
So
that makes it nice. And then they have that whole bank of vacuums in the back. Do you see that?
I did, yeah.
I was like, man, they're serious about getting your car vacuumed.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, you've already heard his voice here, a man who some days amazes himself and other days puts his keys in the fridge. Pastor Matt was with me today.
You are in my house way too often, I think.
Well, welcome to the podcast.
Good morning.
And of course, there's me. It's not a lot to say about me because I don't know. I'm not that interesting, but I try.
That is not true at all.
Yeah. Well, it takes a while to get to know me before you figure that one out. Well, we have some tweets here that have just come in, and let me see if I can find the ones there they are. Okay, we got them from the fax machine we have here. Someone tweeted in just while we were just talking. Did anyone else think that a group of hippopotamus should be called a boat instead of a bloat? Oh. Prove me wrong. Yeah. When you said it was a bloat.
A bloat.
Yeah, I thought it should be a boat because how big those stinking animals are.
They are, yeah.
Yeah.
They are but it's a pretty hurtful name for a group of fat animals.
They're deadly, though. I mean,
they are deadly.
They need to be called something a little bit more. I mean, because everybody's got such cute ideas about hippopotamus,
right? Yeah, it's kind of like the people that go to Yellowstone and like want to cuddle up with a buffalo.
Yeah, right. Really? You want to? Yeah, I know. No. They can take your car out. Yeah. Well, when you said that, when you were talking about hippopotamus, apparently my phone was listening because I started getting all these videos on Instagram about hippopotamus, Facebook, TikTok, all those things. But they're the worst ones, right? They got a little baby, like this one guy was on there and he had a little baby hippopotamus they raised since it was a baby, and then you come to find out it attacked him later, and he barely made it out of his life. The hippopotamus he raised from a baby, yeah.
They're wild animals.
They're wild, yeah, and apparently they're deadly, yeah,
and mean,
yeah. Yep. You don't want to mess with them.
Yeah.
Another tweet that came in for the podcast. If I answer all the Bible trivia correct for a season of podcasts, do I get to say that I'm a Bible scholar? Longtime guesser.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, you can put a certificate together for you, and
yeah, you can make your own business cards out of this.
I would too. Yeah. And then you could get get a license to marry people then, and
why not?
Might as well. That's what we do here. We want to make your life better. Last tweet we got here is Pastor Alex, fake running on Sunday reminded me to renew my gym membership this month. That's just hurtful. Just kidding. That's what they said.
Wow.
Hashtag thanks for the reminder.
Fake running on Sunday?
The second service, were you watching?
Oh, yeah. Okay, now I get it. I'm like,
yeah.
That's right.
Apparently. Well, I'm glad I was able to, inspire somebody to go get their gym membership. Apparently watching a fat man running out of their grave is not something people I don't know, want to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
thought it was hilarious that I was doing it. I was under the inspiration of that song, and back behind me, the praise team, they're just dying laughing. Mm-hmm. I'm like, really, you guys? You know?
Yep.
The laugh it's not like a laugh like ha ha ha. This is inspirational. It's laugh ha ha ha. Look at the fat man running on the stage. That's what it was. So, anyways, we'll take an idea break. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the More Podcast with Pastor Alex and Pastor Gary. Are you ready to feel rejuvenated? I know I am. This is Francine coming to you with Pastor Gary and Pastor Alex. Get ready. We're going to talk about Jesus. It's going to be a good time. All right, let's go.
I have not heard that one yet.
Francine, yeah. You've had those guys call you from India.
Oh, yeah.
And they always have the weirdest Americanized names, you know.
Yep.
You know that's not their name.
I am Bob.
I'm Bob. Yeah. I had a guy call me the other day from one of the credit cards we have. His name is Kevin.
Ooh.
And I'm thinking to myself, you are not a Kevin. There's no way that your parents brought you into this world and said, we're going to call him Kevin.
Yeah.
There's no way. No way at all. Well, we're in the fourth hour of our radio show. We've already been on the air for a few hours. And so in this hour, we want to let you know about things that help you to, kind of navigate the world around you. And so, the lines are done. So we don't have anything on the lines, sadly. So we have the Super Bowl coming up. And if you're going to watch the Super Bowl, it's great. Pastor Matt, you have a Super Bowl party.
We do. We got a youth group Super Bowl this Sunday. We'll be in the Youth Chapel Underground.
I'm thinking about coming.
Come on over. We'll have
it.
plenty of food. We'll have screens playing the game upstairs and downstairs, and it'll be a great time.
So, the kids are going to be doing all their stuff. Do you have like an old man section where we can just sit there and watch the game?
Well, here's my pro tip for you.
Yeah.
Get there early
and
just claim your spot on the couch, and then don't move.
Don't move at all.
Because as soon as you move,
somebody's going to take it.
Yeah. Move your feet, lose your seat.
I can't. Maybe I'll bring my own chair.
You could, yeah.
I'll bring one of my folding chairs from the camp and just use that because...
Little rocker.
Yeah, a rocker. Just sit there all the time. Don't talk to me. I'm watching the game, kids. Shut up. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know some of the kids in your youth group pretty well. And Andrew, he's Chaston used to go to your youth group.
Yeah, Chaston, absolutely.
Yeah. So we've already been talking a lot about the game. So maybe they'll be there and they'll watch the game. Yeah.
Do you have any favorite Super Bowl food? I still have to shop.
Well, wings are always a plus. You having wings?
I'm thinking about it. They just get so expensive.
You know what you need to do? Okay, here's what you need to do. I'll bring my air fryer.
Okay.
My wife uses the air fryer to make her chicken wings.
Yep. Okay, I've got one too.
So you just dump them in the air fryer, however long, till they're really crispy. Then when you pull them out, you put the sauce on them.
Yep.
Whatever sauce you're going to do. And then you just throw them in the microwave to heat up the sauce. And they're the best wings you'll ever have.
Really?
Way better than B-dubs.
I'm not a big fan of B-dubs.
I'm not either, but that's the only wings place, because we used to have the Wingstop when we lived in Indiana.
Oh yeah.
And that was really good. But that's the best way. They're real crispy. They're good.
All right.
But you can go get a whole bag of them at Walmart.
How long does it take to cook them?
I think she puts them in there for like 5 minutes.
Wow. Are they pre-cooked or are they?
No, they're frozen.
All right, I'll have to check it out. I've got one at home.
Yeah.
I've got some wings in the freezer, so
try them out.
I'll sacrifice and do some research before then.
Let me check on that time though for my wife, but I'm pretty sure it's 5 minutes. I mean, it seems like it to me.
40 kids get salmonella poisoning.
I know. Next thing you know, well, sorry about that, everybody. Remember to get your shots. All right. So we have interesting things that have come off the interweb for the news. This is a segment that we've had before the line started playing, and well, we're going to get back to it because we got some great stuff to look at here. The first thing that pops up on the headlines that you might want to know is Pankshalwani. How do you say that? Pankshalwani?
Pankshalwani. Yeah, now
Pankshalwani.
You planted it in my head.
I know.
Now I can't even hear it.
Pankshalwani. Phil, he predicts an early spring at Groundhog Day event. Gobbler's Knob, Pennsylvania. It was full of shouts and joy when Phil predicted that we would have 6 more weeks of winter. So doing the math, the winter will be over March 22nd. So put that on the calendar.
March 22nd.
Yeah, but you know statistically how many times he's been right? Not very big.
No.
It's like low 30s. Out of all the time he's been out there, low 30% that he's been right as to what's going on.
Yeah, I was somewhere the other day and overheard a conversation at like a fast food restaurant or something, and they were talking about the spring weather.
Yeah.
And the comment was, no, this is just the first false spring.
Oh.
First false spring.
Okay.
And so there's usually like 4 or 5 of those before it actually happens.
Well, I'm believing in this little rodent here.
Put your faith in it.
March 22nd, it's going to be it. Another one here. Wichita, Kansas, a local pastor of the First Baptist Church has a new ministry team sanctioned. Between the conservative service at 8 a.m. and the contemporary service at 9:45 a.m., he now has a sanctified pit crew that helps him change from a suit to a Hawaiian shirt. Pastor Gary says between a mic that has to be taped to his face and exchange of his King James Bible to the New Living Bible, it's a challenge, and he uses a pit crew. I was like, are you kidding me? This is a real deal. I mean, all these are real headlines, yeah.
Wow.
So apparently this guy in the conservative service wears clergy garments.
Yep.
But then the contemporary service, he puts on a Hawaiian shirt. That's his go-to. And then he gets ready for the contemporary service.
And he has a pit crew to help him.
He has people that help him get dressed. Yeah. And he calls them this pit crew. It's interesting. Maybe Pastor Gary should look into that, you know.
How much time do they have between services?
Not a lot. That's the thing. 8 o'clock.
But I can get dressed in like 2 minutes.
Well, you know, if you got like it looked like he had like clergy robe and the collar and everything. So he has to take all that off and then get ready. And then tape the mic to his face.
Wow. Okay.
It's a big deal, man.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
All right.
Here's another one. Arlington, Texas. Dan and Emily Wise have found a new challenge to their young marriage. After a few years of sitting in the same pew every Sunday, they felt a leading by the Almighty to change their perspective on faith in their marriage. Normally, they can be found in row 3 of their medium-sized church. However, during a message about going to the mission field, they both felt that God was pushing them to expand their horizon by moving to row 13. Dan said, being close to the front is what we have always done, but going to row 13 means that we'll be closer to the cry room, which will really challenge our focus on the Sunday message.
Oh.
Emily said, sometimes we are called to step out of our comfort zone and go to places that are not always the easiest.
Wow.
Wow, they got that from the sermon.
Okay.
It was inspirational. They moved from row 3 to row 13. Wow. So, yeah, it's a big change for them.
Well, I don't know I'm sure we can recognize this, but when you're on stage speaking,
yeah,
like you see where people normally sit,
right? Yeah.
And so like after a while, like you expect to see them,
right?
I told Sharon Alton, she threw me off Sunday. Normally she's on my right hand side if I'm looking out, and she was over like on the left hand side, like more of the heathen section over there, and it threw me off for a little bit.
I know. I find it interesting where we normally sit that it's been changing like almost every Sunday now. So normally I'm thinking I'm going to sit next to the same people I'm sitting, and then it's totally different. And I'm like, what is going on?
Have you ever intentionally sat in someone's seat just to kind of watch the chaos?
Yeah, I have done that, but not intentionally. It was intentionally. You sit there and you're like, the people are looking at you like, are you going to move or standing there for a while? The people, they'll start talking to other people. They're just kind of like, it's kind of like waiting for a parking spot, you know, like at some point I saw the lights, they're going to get out of there. So I'm going to take the spot, and then you don't move. Right.
Yeah.
And then eventually things start happening in the service and like, oh crud, I got to find another parking spot.
Yep.
So then they do that. Yeah. It's
that should be like a podcast challenge. Like just find someone's seat and sit in it. Just every week, and then just shuffle the whole congregation. People are going to be like, I had no idea you're going to this church.
Yeah. What, who are you? Yeah, I know.
That's my challenge.
That's a good challenge.
My challenge is
out there. Sit in a different spot. See what happens.
Try and tick someone off this Sunday by sitting in their chair.
I've tried that before. Like I'll sit in another section away from where I normally sit, not taking anybody's seat, but just sitting somewhere else. And then that's always a Sunday. Pastor Gary's like, all right, we're gonna have people come up and pray for you. And then I got to walk from way back, and you hear the floor, creaking all the way as you're walking up to the front. There's never a good way to do it. So that's why I stay where I'm at, because I know inevitably at some point, one of the Sundays that I'm not paying attention, something's going to happen. I have to do something. Yep. So, well, that's all of our news on the web. If you're, having a discussion with somebody, these are some things that I think will help you, be icebreakers. And it's good to know. I think it's good to know this stuff, because if you don't, you're going to be sitting around and people are going to be talking about the rodent who predicted spring, or, the pastor who has a pit crew, or, Dan and Emily's faith journey as they're moving from row 30 to row 13. As funny as that is, I think some people really do consider that to be a very difficult change.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of like the chairs in the very back, though. Have you sat in those?
They're comfy.
They're super comfy.
Yeah.
And when you sit in the chairs that normally sit in, and then you go back to there, it's kind of like going from a $30 chair from IKEA to, a lazy boy.
Right.
That's what it feels like.
Oh, no, there's a youth group fundraiser right there.
Yeah.
I'm going to start selling like preferred seating for Sunday morning.
Yeah, right.
All right.
I was almost tempted one Sunday. I'm like, what if I took a couple of those green chairs, moved them over in where I normally sit,
Yeah.
I wonder if anybody noticed.
You know what we could do is we could do just a couple on your side and then a couple on the other side. That way it looks like it's intentional.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
and
yeah.
nobody would do it.
We're just changing the color schemes a little bit, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure I get busted for that. Well, let's take a night break. We're right back.
Oh, don't go nowhere. More Podcast has more to say. Get your feet moving. Get up from your office desk and start jiggling it. Yes, let's do this. You're on the More Podcast. We'll be right back.
I think that's Francine again, for sure.
I was like, who was that? I don't know.
All right, we got some more tweets that have come in here while I've been gabbing our gums here. I tried to tell my husband that I don't want to shave my armpit hair anymore because Pastor Matt said it was a diffuser. He might be emailing the church. Fragrance junkie for Jesus, hashtag.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you said that. I had so many images going through my mind.
I know it, yeah.
But I'm like, I have never thought of my armpit hair as diffusers.
Just Google it. I Googled it, and that's what I found out.
I think that's a great way of looking at it.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate thing is all these patchoulio wearing people, they're thinking to themselves, yes, now I have a mandate from God not to. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not, I don't think it's my preference.
Right. Yeah. Keep your diffuser shaved. Use the diffuser another way. Yeah, because you work with teens, right?
Yeah.
You got a group of diffusers running around.
Next weekend, I will take a group to Spring Hill Camp.
Oh, that's right.
There'll be probably 40 plus students with us.
Is it the high school or junior high?
It is high school.
Yeah. Oh,
but whether it's high school or middle school, it takes about 2.7 seconds for that boys' cabin to smell like death.
And you've moved out of the Axe era, right? So the Axe spray is not
middle
a big
schoolers are a little bit more of the Axe. High schoolers are
moving into something a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But last year it was funny. The girls decided they were going to prank the boys' cabin in middle school.
Yeah.
And so they went in and sprayed a bunch of perfume and kind of made it smell girly.
Yeah.
And the problem is the boys came into the cabin and went, wow, it smells nice in here. They improved it for them.
Yeah, they're like, wow, what's the fragrance? Yeah, that's nice. I love it. Funny story about fragrances. The other day, my wife and I were looking for a cologne I like. I like this cologne by Cremo. I don't know if you heard of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they used to sell it at Walmart. And so we go back to the area that had it normally, and it's not there anymore. And they're apparently not selling it anymore, but they have another type of cologne there. And so we're looking at all this cologne, and I'm like, oh, this is interesting smell. And my wife's like, that's all ladies' perfume. So they took out the guys' stuff and put all ladies' perfume. But I'm like, it's in the same spot.
Oh, I wish you were shopping by yourself.
Oh, man. I would have bought some because I'm thinking it smells good, man.
Coming into the office, smelling all nice.
Yeah, boy, you smell like a spring day. You smell like a spring day right there.
Is my grandma here?
That's the smell. I cannot figure out where that's from. Oh. Some of the wonderful silver-haired ladies in our community have this perfume that I have no idea what it is, but whatever it is, it's kind of a mix of off spray and some like maybe ammonia. I'm not sure.
And my theory is that the older they get, the less their sensory, tingle nose senses are, because when they put it on,
oh yeah,
they layer it.
And it's almost, seriously, it's almost like a gag reflex. Like I'll smell it and I start coughing like I got an asthma attack or something.
It's slap you across the face.
Yeah, probably getting some sort of black lung or something from that. I don't know. Here's the last one. Could the church start a Facebook Marketplace church garage sale? # summer coming.
Oh, that's a possible idea.
Wouldn't that be a good idea?
That would be a good, just a place to post stuff.
Yeah. But it'd be like just for the church people. That'd be kind of a cool idea. Would that be hard to do, you think?
No, I don't think it'd be hard at all. In fact, I remember years ago we had like a monthly kind of newsletter that would go out. People would be able to list stuff or their businesses or that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I think we should look into that.
Modern version of it. That's a great idea.
Yeah, we could. Because it was brought up on podcasts, I think
it would be. Yeah, I agree. It'd be a really good youth group fundraiser.
Oh, no, not.
I appreciate you bringing that. While I'm here, always thinking about me.
I have no money, man. No money. I get pence. I get little pennants. That's what I get. I get nothing. My wife, we were talking about in staff meeting. I said, that woman with her departments raised $100,000 for missions, and I can't even come close to that. I have nothing, So,
well, she's good at her job.
She is good at her job. I said, you need to start fundraising for me. I need some money. Because people don't realize in my department, I'm the one that gets all the stuff together for Wednesday Night Live.
Yeah.
So most of the printed material that seems to kind of percolate into the church comes from my department. So it's a lot of printed paper that I have to cover. And, there's just a lot of stuff going on. The small groups that we do twice a year, it comes out of my budget, my measly $1. I have to figure out. Although I have learned that there are some slush fund lines that are available that I try to sneak in every now and then.
Oh yeah.
And then eventually comes back.
Mandy's good about catching that though.
She does. What do you mean this is not supposed to be there? I don't know. I tried to charge a school a couple times and that didn't happen either.
Oh, Kelly. Yeah. Kelly's good about noticing that too.
We'll take a break and come right back.
We want you to know God more deeply. Find lasting freedom, discover your destiny, and make an eternal difference. More podcast.
Well, last Sunday you gave us a nice lesson on different names for different groups of animals. And so I thought, what's some other statistics or facts we can pick up that people might not know? I didn't know half the stuff that you were talking about. I knew the lion pride.
Right. Did you know flamboyance of
I
flamingos?
did not.
That's a fun one.
That makes sense, though.
Yep.
That does make sense. But here's some other facts that you might want to use. I know a lot of people probably use those facts and told their friends, hey, did you know that, such and such. Did you know that a group of crows is called a murder?
I did, yeah. In fact, I almost used that one.
Yeah.
I pulled it out.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
Why? I don't get that one.
Nope.
But well, here's some fun facts you can impress your friends with other than what you learned on Sunday. I don't know if you've knew this or not, but a monkey once ran in English town.
I did not know that.
Yeah, apparently, Hartlepool, UK, once elected a football mascot, a monkey, as its mayor. He beat out the Labour's Party, Peter Mandelson, to the job, and it was actually the mayor for a year.
Wow,
a monkey.
You would think that when they realized it, they would.
Yeah, right. I mean, seriously, could you see him at community meetings? Monkey whipping.
The banana budget in that town was through the roof.
I love that. Here's another fact, a fun fact that you might want to know. Did you know that tea came about by chance?
What came about by chance?
Tea,
like
tea you drink. Yeah.
Really?
Came about by chance. According to ancient discoveries, tea became a drink after it blew into boiling water and someone had the guts to try it.
That was definitely like a youth group.
Hey, let's try that water.
I dare to drink it.
Yeah, you know what? There was a lot of dares going on at that point. China was actually the first to monopolize in this accident, and then the rest is history.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for that accident, because I love my unsweetened iced tea.
So it wasn't like somebody actually premeditated, this idea of let's see what leaves do to water.
Right.
It was just it was an accident.
Let's drink this brown, nasty liquid.
But it was boiled. That was mentioned. It was boiled water. So
okay,
I don't know. That's interesting to know. I don't know if you knew this or not. Play-Doh was never intended to be a toy. Did you know that?
No. What was it made for?
It was first developed as a wallpaper cleaner.
Oh, I think I do remember hearing that. Yeah.
I actually found a video of it on YouTube where they were actually selling it like that.
Wow.
And this woman takes the Play-Doh and she's wiping down the wallpaper with it. Back in the day when they were burning coal and stuff, the one way to get the dust off was to use Play-Doh to get it off. And
wow.
Yeah. It wasn't until the manufacturer realized that the non-toxic nature of the product would make a great children's toy that the whole aim of the product changed. So they took it off the market as a cleaner and turned it into a toy.
And then everybody had dirty walls.
Colored walls from the dye in it and everything else. This is one that I thought was interesting. I had to look this up to make sure it was true, but it actually is true. Doctors used to prescribe ketchup as a medicine, as medicinal.
Like, what would it treat?
That I didn't know. I could not find that out, but they would use it for pretty much everything.
Oh.
So if you had an upset stomach, ketchup. If you had a headache, ketchup. Whatever.
Somebody owned a ketchup factory.
Somebody owned a ketchup factory. That's probably how Heinz got so famous. While it's not prescribed for any kind of ailment these days, it was relied on in the 19th century for all kinds of bodily issues.
Wow.
People actually rubbed it on their sores.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Well, I was thinking about that. Ketchup has vinegar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of a healing property.
Doesn't it also have like 10 pounds of sugar.
Maybe back then the ketchup didn't have that much sugar. We've changed it over the years. It's not the same as it was. Here's the last one. Did you know that there is more play money than real cash in America?
Really?
Yeah.
That's a lot of Monopoly games.
That is. Apparently in the U.S., there's actually more Monopoly money that leaves the presses than real tender. So they print more Monopoly money than we print. Well, basically our money is becoming Monopoly money. Yeah. It's getting to that point now.
Hasbro is going to become the new printer of American currency.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's getting there. Well, we're going to take a break and come back for Rapture Ready News.
More podcasts where curiosity meets insight. Tune in, delve deeper, and discover more. Get Rapture ready with your favorite host today, Pastor Gary and Pastor Alex Norton, as they come to you with information that you need to make it through the times coming ahead and more.
Well, this Rapture Ready News got an interesting article that just came out on yesterday, actually, from the Christian Post. Therapist whistleblower quits job after being bullied into affirming kids' trans identities. Wow. We've been talking a lot about this on this show, that, people are making decisions when it comes to some of the things that are happening in this society we live in.
Yep.
And this woman actually had to leave her job. A therapist in Washington State has become the latest whistleblower to raise concerns about so-called gender-affirming care, revealing that she was bullied into approving all requests for minors seeking gender transition procedures. In an op-ed published by the Free Press on Monday, Tamara Pites outlined her experience working at Multicare, which she described as one of the largest hospital systems in the state of Washington. Tamara, who obtained a master's degree in social work from the University of Washington in 2012, worked as a therapist at Multicare for 6 years until she resigned. In the last year, she said, I noticed a concerning new trend in my field. She recalled, I was getting the message from my supervisors is that when a young person I was seeing express discomfort with their gender, the diagnostic term is gender dysphoria. I should throw out all my training. No matter the patient's history or the other mental health situations that could be complicating the situation. I was simply to affirm that the patient was transgender and then approve the start of medical transition. And so because of that, she said, I walked away. And it's interesting is that through this process, if you read the op-ed a little bit more, she's really started embracing her faith as though this was probably the reason why her conscience was so heavy in this area, that she just didn't feel like this is the way it's supposed to be. It's neat to see people that are in this industry that are stepping back and saying, whoa, this is not good, and there's a reason for it.
Right. So hurtful.
It is hurtful. And, I was just got a newsreel this morning. There's been a long court case in Texas about a father fighting for his son. Him and his wife divorced. His wife said that their son wants to be a girl. So she wanted to start the process of him going through all the medical procedures that go along with it. And so he's been fighting it. And I think he's been fighting it for about 4 years. He was on Glenn Beck talking about it. And the article said he just lost the case. And so they basically have given the mother the go ahead to do what she thinks needs to be done. And, his whole point is that their son is 8 years old and he has 8 years old. And he really, I love the, it's a commercial that I don't know who put it out, but they were talking about how kids at certain ages, there should not be a choice in this regard. And so one of the things they do is they have $100 bill and they have a chocolate bar and they put it out in front of the child and they say, which would you rather have? And every child picked the chocolate bar, not the $100.
Right.
And it's like, it doesn't make any sense, that that's the value they see in that. And so it seems like a child could be very manipulated into moving in a direction that they really don't have an understanding of why they're doing it to begin with.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense at all. There's so many laws that restrict kids from making decisions or doing certain things because they're not capable of making those decisions. And yet we're going to allow them to make a decision that will affect the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
Irreversible.
Never, and the thing is that this is the an article that came out of England. Basically, they're finding that people have gone through the transition all the way that now are thinking about coming back, wanting to be what they were born to be. They're having a lot of suicide, a lot of depression issues, a lot of anxiety because they can never change it now. And once you go to a certain level, there's just no way of turning back.
There's no going back.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate. But that's why we have to stand up for these children. When you start seeing this stuff happen in your schools where they're saying we need to teach your kids more of this stuff. I know there's a drag show that's happening in Petoskey. I don't know if you saw the announcement for that. It's going to be at, I think they said the VFW Hall. They're going to be doing a drag show. And wow, they're doing an homage to American music, things that we would say are a part of the American identity, the songs that we've grown up with or whatever. But the problem is that they're all drag queens, and it's just they're inviting the kids from schools. They're like, oh, this is going to be a great thing. Yeah, that's the stuff we're living in right now. I know you probably have a big job in your hands working with these kids.
Yeah, it's definitely been interesting to see it evolve through the years.
Yeah,
and the sad part about it is kids are just being so bombarded with the lies of the enemy.
Yeah.
And they're sitting in school and they're sitting with quote unquote counselors who are affirming and encouraging rather than helping kids kind of process through feelings and emotions. And it's just getting more and more difficult for them to kind of wade through the lies to see the truth.
Well, I'm putting you on the spot, but what would some advice would you give to our families in the church?
Oh, that's a really good question, putting me on the spot.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I would say start the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Just have the conversation. I think a lot of times around these areas, parents don't know what to say or what to do.
Yeah.
And so they just kind of get quiet and they get silent. And then the kids are left to kind of process it on their own, and they're going to their friends or they're going to that counselor that isn't on the same.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to have the conversations. Don't be afraid to seek out kind of some counsel and bring some other people in to go, how do we handle this? What's really going on?
Yeah. Do you think it's always that big of a problem, or maybe kids are just kind of following the trend, or at least thinking about the trend that is going on? I mean, do you always think it's really as in depth that it is? Because it seems like to me that some of these kids make these choices because, like we grew up. I mean, there's trends that are happening and we're like, oh, absolutely. To me, sometimes it just seems like some of that is, some of that pressure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I definitely think, a good part of it is that's kind of the trendy thing right now. I don't know if that's the best word for it, but that's what everybody's talking about. And everybody's affirming and supporting the LGBT community. And so if you're not, you're hateful. And so I think there's definitely that pressure. I think it's really, it's the end times. It's the work of the enemy.
Yeah.
Really attacking this generation. I heard a quote years ago, what one generation allows, the next enjoys.
Yeah.
And so it has been a slow process.
Yeah.
Because when you and I were kids, it was rare to see, a gay or a lesbian person on a television show or even talked about. And through the years, it's been, you'd see it every once in a while. And now you can't watch a television show where it's not affirming that community in some way. And so it's just the enemy has normalized that lifestyle. Yeah. And you got a whole generation of kids that if parents and families and churches aren't talking about it, they're just going, yeah, this is normal.
Yeah.
Because that's all they've ever known.
I don't know if you ever watched the show King of Queens.
Yeah.
Kevin James, he said that his show would have probably been canceled now because they made so many jokes about gay lifestyle and that kind of stuff. And he's like, he's got a new, I don't recommend it, but he's got a new stand-up thing. And he's talking about how he doesn't apologize for any of that. He said, that's for us, growing up, that's not what we didn't see that as being normal. He goes, I technically still don't see it as normal, but he goes, we live in a world, he said that whole show would have been canceled. And I was thinking about that myself. I'm like, I grew up in an era like you where people like that were considered to be outcasts and the weirdos. And then all of a sudden now it's normalized. It's almost like we're in the Twilight Zone, where things have been flipped. Imagine if you, go back in time to where, those things were, and then you move forward to where we are. Mm-hmm. I think you'd be shocked, seeing how things have changed just within a short period of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. We've moved to a society where we make our decisions and we live our lives based on our feelings.
Yeah.
This is what I feel like. I feel like this is who I am.
Yeah.
And the problem is feelings are not forever.
Right. Yeah.
And when we make decisions that have forever consequences, it's just going to continue to snowball the downfall of our society. And it's going to bring a lot of hurt.
Well, and then, eventually these kids are going to come to the realization that they were manipulated into something.
Yep.
And just imagine that fallout, within our society. And the parents, I really don't understand how parents can think they're well-meaning when they move in that direction. I mean, that's quite a big decision, especially like that 8-year-old child. That's a huge decision, to start moving and thinking that realm. Some of these parents, I think, are going to really, really regret their decisions,
Yeah, it's that kind of the old concept of parents being more friends
Yeah.
than they are parents.
Yeah, right.
And the parents are there to guide and lead and direct and protect, and they're more worried about making their kids happy.
Right, yeah. I grew up in an era where people tell me all the time, you don't know what you want. You're not old enough yet.
Which is true.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I want when I was 8 years old.
Yeah, I wanted to be everything from the president to the astronaut to, thank God I'm not on a shuttle, man. Yeah. We'd be in trouble. Or to be the president.
Right.
I mean, you want to think it's bad now with Biden. Alex as president would be really bad. All right, take an ID break. We'll be right back.
Woo! Wait, you just jumped into a whole hornet's nest of awesomeness. I'm just saying right now. You better get yourself ready because we got more stuff for you on the Mo Podcast. Louise, come on, get over here because we're getting ready for the Mo Podcast.
You seem really shocked by a lot of our ID breaks, don't you?
I haven't heard these ones. And I've that one, I was like, I'm trying to figure out who that is.
Pretty much most of these are me.
Yeah, you did a really good one on that one. I didn't.
I try to change it up. Man of many voices. I get to live out all my dreams on this podcast, being weird. All right, we're going to talk about Harbor Light Bible Trivia. If you want to be a part of the Harbor Light Bible Trivia and be put in the drawing for one of our awesome podcast shirts, all you have to do is send your answer to this question today to harborlightbibletrivia@gmail.com, harborlightbibletrivia@gmail.com, all lowercase, and let us know what you think the answer is. And Pastor Matt has been digging through the Bible, and he's found himself a question that he's going to present.
I've got a question for
Here we
you.
go.
Here's the question. Which two gospel books were not written by one of Jesus's disciples?
Oh.
Which two Gospels were not written by one of Jesus's disciples?
Gospels. That's a key.
The Gospels, yeah.
The Gospels, which you're talking about 4.
Yes, 4.
Yeah, 4 Gospels. Well, if you know the answer to that Bible trivia, I didn't quit talking because my wife says I give it away all the time. We send it to harborlightbibletrivia@gmail.com, harborlightbibletrivia@gmail.com, all lowercase, and let us know what your answer is, and then we'll put you in the drawing for one of our new podcast T-shirts, which we're going to be making more because now that we have the sweatshop set up, we can do it. We have workers.
Bam.
Yeah. We brought them in on the boat and they're here ready to make T-shirts and we're good to go. And they don't get paid much. So, to make their T-shirts, it's kind of like the Oompa Loompas, they enjoy doing it.
Did you just call yourself an Oompa Loompa?
Yeah. I'm one of the bigger guys, This is Bob the big Oompa Loompa. So we have ways of making T-shirts now. So we're really excited about that. So we can do anything. And one of the things I think we were talking about, Pastor Gary and I, we want to start putting his special quotes from Sundays.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. I asked him, I said, a couple Sundays ago, he told us what a dirt hole was. And I said, can I put that on a T-shirt? And he's like, probably not. I just think it'd be cool. Like on the shirt says, I'm not a dirt hole, Pastor Gary. I think that'd be a special shirt, wouldn't it?
That would be something. It would be something.
And hopefully he's not listening to this podcast. I need to keep my job here. But we're taking an ID break. We're right back.
We want you to know God more deeply. Find lasting freedom. Discover your destiny. And make an eternal difference. More podcasts.
Well, we just started a brand new 3-week series called Church As, looking at how the church is often mentioned in the New Testament as the body, the family, and the bride. Well, Pastor Matt started off this series by looking at the church as the body, taken from 1 Corinthians chapter 12. Well, it goes through 12 through 31 if you read the whole passage. And he talked about what it meant to be the body. So I got Pastor Matt here to kind of give us some more detail onto his message, because a lot of times, one of the things is we don't get to tell everything we want to talk about on Sunday because it's, only got 20 some minutes, and I know we've got a lot going on, but I definitely want to get into this message. As you can witness right here, I took notes on it.
Yeah, I saw you.
Yeah,
I saw you.
I was preparing myself for the podcast, just, so I have something to talk about. But you were talking about it being the body, and your big quote that I love so much, he says, "You are not the body, we are the body."
Yeah.
Yeah. What does that mean to us?
Yeah. I think as we kind of mentioned a little bit on Sunday, the church is the hope for the world. I mean, we are the hope for the world, we as the church. And I think we live in a world where it has shifted to being very individualistic, and it's all about me and what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And the church is not that.
Right.
In fact, you'll hear you're the body of Christ, and you're not the body of Christ. You're a part of the body of Christ. And as soon as you kind of get in that mindset of it's all about me, you're missing out on us coming together as the different pieces to accomplish the goal and the mission that Christ has given us.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting because I think we do. I think a lot of times we do think, or at least we've grown up with the mindset that you are the body. But obviously, like you just said, we're a part of it. And so we kind of miss the joy of becoming a part. What is our part, and then embracing that part, and it becomes kind of a confusing thing. Like all of a sudden, we're everything. No, we're not. We're finding our part, finding our role, finding our thing that God's called us to.
Right.
And I think that's so important because in the church sometimes it's very confusing. It is a big thing to understand the great wonders of who God is and what the church is and all those different things, and so to realize that I don't have to worry about all those things.
Yeah.
I just have to do my part.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I appreciated, we kind of started with the silly animal game.
I love
but the idea that each of us individually have value.
Yeah.
Like we have an important role. Every role is important. And kind of the picture of that building site, when you get all the building materials dropped off on the building site, every piece on that property has value and it has a place and it is needed.
Yeah.
But if it's all separate,
right,
it's not going to create this beautiful thing called a house. And as the body of Christ, when we come together and your gifts accompany my gifts and vice versa, that's when we get to really see God work through us.
Yeah. Speaking about those houses you posted.
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't it have been great to buy a house for like $1,800?
I know it.
And then you just got to find somebody to put it together.
Yeah. I'd figure it out myself for that much money.
Oh my gosh. I was thinking about that because, some of the builders in our church here, talking about the houses they're building.
Yeah.
And, a lot of them are way, 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 way more than the $1,800,
Oh yeah. What is it? I think it's averages like between $400 and $600 a square foot now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, my little house is 940 square feet. And, we were looking on Zillow how much is, it's worth now because things have been changing in our area in Toppinby. And it has jumped already $73,000 in worth. And we've only lived in it for 3 years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you kidding? We're not selling, but it's just like, are you kidding me?
Yep.
That houses have changed that much, but even that little bit, and then looking at $1,800 house. But yeah, talking about all those things that come into play, I mean, it is amazing. And then you showed some videos of these characters, which I thought were perfect. It was hilarious. It was by a bus company, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a bus company. It was just to kind of illustrate that thing of when we come together.
Yeah.
We can accomplish really great things.
Yeah.
And it is, Pastor Gary says it, and you say it all the time with, a circle's not rows. When we come together, when we can have those conversations, when we can support each other, that's when we get to accomplish some great things that we could never do on our own.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like the little crabs fighting this.
Oh, that was my favorite one.
I love that one. Then the part that I didn't catch the first time was that one crab went over and snipped the last feather. Yeah, feather. It's like, you're not getting up, buddy. But the question, I think a lot of times is, when we start really thinking about what is going on in the community, what would it look like if we were only just one body part, or we're only emphasizing one body part instead of the whole body?
Yeah.
I think that'd be kind of odd. I mean, give us some insight into that. Sometimes we look at the pastor as being, the church, or,
absolutely.
so that's the one thing, but he's really just the mouth, but there's so many other things that have to be a part of that. What maybe some of the drawbacks, some of the positive and negatives with that when we think about just having one member being emphasized in others?
I think it restricts what we can actually do.
Yeah.
You know, I love Harbor Light, and I love being a part of this church and this community because Pastor Gary does a great job teaching and preaching on Sunday mornings, and he encourages the congregation. He challenges us, and he does his part so that the rest of this body can go out and do their part.
Right.
You know, they're Chelsea in that back hallway. With her team is pouring into kids.
Yeah.
And we have Amy, who's leading people that would never have the opportunity or even have the boldness to go on a trip.
Yeah.
That are all of a sudden exploring like this deep passion that they have for missions inside of their lives.
Yeah.
Because Amy's doing her part. And then you've got people that are getting up early on Sunday mornings and driving a bus, which seems so insignificant.
Right. Yeah.
But are bringing men here that are in the midst of recovery, that are finding community.
Yeah.
And we've heard it over and over again where these guys are saying, when I get out, I want to come back to Harbor Light.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a part. And Pastor Gary can't drive the bus.
Right. Yeah.
He can't do the children's ministry. He can't lead the school like Kelly is doing or whatever. And we get to do amazing things in this community, in this world, because everybody's playing their part.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about that in my small group after service, and one of the people we highlighted was Karen Mindel.
Yeah.
It's just amazing to me, you know, her many jobs that she's had in this church over the years, but now she's settled on just being a janitor. Yeah. And really, you know, when you talk to her, she's having just as much fun as it seems like she would have done anything else that she's done in the church.
Yep.
But, you know, it's just something simple as that is so needed.
Yep.
In the community, and the people that don't always get all the praise are not in the limelight all the time. It's amazing what it would be like if they weren't here, because when they aren't here and we have to deal with it in another way or rally other people to kind of fill the gap, I think you get a sense of why that's so important to have certain people doing their part in the body.
Yep.
And you don't always think that way, right?
Absolutely. And I'll jump on Karen Mindel a little bit more. You know, we probably have one of the best live streams for our services in probably upper half of Michigan.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It is beautiful. That was something that God put in Karen's heart.
Yeah.
She's not good with computers or technology or anything.
Right. Yeah.
But she said, all right, this is my role right now. And she's gathered the people around her to make it happen.
Yeah.
And so I got to sit in the green room with Stuart Cunningham, who's as part of that team.
Yeah.
Sits on a camera. And he made the comment. He says, when I get to heaven, you know, I'll be there with Billy Graham.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not on his level kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But he's making a difference just like Billy Graham did.
Oh,
because on Sunday morning, those people that maybe aren't ready to step foot into a church are stumbling across that live stream.
Yeah.
And people from all over the world and all over the country are watching that, and all because they're doing their part.
Yeah. It's amazing to see when people step up and do their part in the church. It's just a wonderful thing. It's really an amazing thing. And we see that happening with all different kinds of roles. To me, I'm always, I don't know. It just kind of makes me feel good when I walk into the lunchroom. And I see, you know, these parents and people that are in our church that are volunteering their time to help their children. I mean, what other school would you see parents stepping up to clean tables and do what they're doing? And it's all because they believe that God's put them in a place to do something for, you know, the community. That's their part. That's their part in the body. But it's so needed in this whole thing. I mean, they're not teaching kids. They're not teaching in class. They're not doing any classes whatsoever. Their main job is just make sure that the tables are clean during the week. And it's those kind of things that I think are so special. I know one of the mandates Pastor Gary gives the staff all the time is to make sure that you find those people that seem insignificant, let them know how much you appreciate them. Yeah. And we try our best to find those people and see them and say something to let them know that we are watching. We do see how important you are to the community.
And I think the big part of what you said is those people, those things that seem insignificant, but oftentimes are some of the biggest things.
Oh yeah.
You know, a clean building.
Yeah.
You know, a messy building will turn someone off.
Yeah.
So they don't even can't even hear the message of Jesus.
Right. Because they're smelling something.
Because they're smelling something, or they're like, man, they don't care about this place. Why should I care about it?
Right. Yeah. It's really important. Some of the things you brought up in your message I thought was interesting. Was that you were talking about how important diversity is, how crucial it is to the success of a community. I know we've been talking about the different parts of the body, but can you expound a little bit more on this idea of diversity a little bit more and how you were trying to bring it up in the service, because basically you mentioned in here that if we don't have this mindset of diversity, one of the side effects is that pride steps in when certain people are elevated more than others. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it kind of goes back to that. We're all different. And I grew up in a lower middle class white family in a church, and I grew up with a certain way of thinking and expectations, and I can get funneled into that's the way it is.
Yeah.
And the reality is Northern Michigan's different than where I grew up downstate and where I lived in Tennessee. And if I go, hey, this is the way we're going to do it. I'm a pastor on staff.
Yeah.
I am missing the student that is in the public school every day.
Yeah.
In my ear, going, "Hey, this is what I think we should be doing. This is how we can reach these people."
Yeah.
Because they're in it and their experience is different. So I think that diversity is super important, just because we're a diverse people.
Yeah.
And we're a church for all people.
Yeah.
And Jesus got upset when he flipped over the tables.
Yeah.
And what was his statement there? He was, my house shall be called the house of prayer.
Yeah.
Quoting from, what was it, Deuteronomy?
Yeah.
For all the nations.
Yeah.
And that means that everybody's coming in. Yeah. And so we've got to be ready to do that and meet that. And you know what? There's things that I don't enjoy.
Right. Yeah. 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 I hear you.
But other people do.
Yeah.
And I do not want to work in children's ministry. Okay.
Me neither.
I like working with kids who can go to the bathroom on their own.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. And if I discredit that, I'm not going to only lose those kids, but I'm going to lose their whole families.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be a place. So I don't know if that answered your question.
No, that's good. Yeah. I think it's interesting when you're talking about this idea of diversity. I think churches sometimes have a very tunnel visioned idea of what the church should be. And when you expand that and you realize that all these other parts are just as important, they're not subpar to what we think is the main role. And one thing I love about it, you probably would affirm this with me, but Herbalife does a good job. Like if we see that you have a gifting or something that you can move in, we're doing everything we can possible to get you to move in that direction.
Absolutely.
And I think sometimes people don't realize that they have a gift until we begin to start saying, listen, I think this is part of your life. I think you have this ability to do that. And then one of the things I think is interesting over my time here is that some people don't think what they do is a gift. Like it's, for real, I was just talking to somebody the other day and they said, all we do is, come and, fix things in the church, or we build stuff for, the church. They don't really see that as a gift in the church. They see it as that's what they do as a job.
Yeah.
But, I had to sit down and I just kind of looked him in the eye. I'm like, do you realize if you were not doing what God gave you the gift to do, things would not get accomplished in that area?
Yep.
And I think that's something that we often don't consider in ourselves, that, I think God has invested in all of the believers in this church in some special way to do something for the church. And we don't always realize that that's a gift from God. God has been putting things in your life to prepare you for what you can do for the kingdom. And when churches don't emphasize that or encourage that, I think it's a problem. I think then you have a very stagnant environment.
Yeah. Well, here you go. Sunday morning, I told this to Karen.
Yeah.
It's the Karen show today.
Yeah, Karen.
But I remember years ago when Pastor Gary says, hey, we're going to start live streaming our services.
Yeah.
Okay, great. If I'm honest, in the back of my head, I'm like, what do we need to live stream the services for?
Yeah, right.
Like we got 300 people coming.
Yeah.
And, okay, so Alex is sick.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to put all that energy and work into so he can stay home and sleep in bed.
Yeah, right.
Okay. I was short-sighted because I was like, I was supportive, but in the back of my head, I'm like, we don't really need this.
Yeah.
If it was my call, we probably wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
Wow. If we wouldn't have.
Yeah.
When COVID hit.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
yeah.
Churches all over this nation were scrambling
to try to get it up.
We were already there.
Yeah.
And we weren't just there, we were doing it well.
Yeah.
And then it's not just for Alex who's sick.
Right.
It is amazing the number of people that are tuning in every week.
Oh yeah.
That ministry is a huge part of. If I would have been narrow-sighted, if Pastor Gary would have been, we would have missed out on a whole lot of opportunities.
And it's become major ministry.
Yeah.
And it's been interesting how people have stepped up that seem to have giftings in that department. Stephanie Monti, I see her back there a lot.
Yeah.
Mary Louise, I see her back there. I don't know what she's doing back there. But
absolutely, yeah.
That woman can do anything, really.
She will, yeah.
But yeah, it's just amazing to see these people pick up a ministry that we really didn't really know that we needed or had, or, it was part of us. And then it's there, it's like that with everything. People, talking about just moving snow.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
It's amazing to see how many guys get so excited about the fact that they have an opportunity to do something for the church that they normally don't do, which is to shovel snow with the, I'm just like, really? Okay. You can come to my house. I appreciate it. But yeah. The other one that you brought up was this idea of unbelief in the parts, and it's kind of piggybacking on what we just talked about, and not belonging because they don't feel like they really have anything to offer.
My role is not significant at all.
Yeah,
I just feel I think a lot of people struggle with that. They go, well, it is just kind of doing little repairs around the church.
Yeah,
that doesn't really matter. Somebody else can do it. Somebody else will do it better than I am.
Yeah,
and that unbelief and kind of the sense of like not really fully embracing the fact that God has you a part of this body for a reason.
Right. Yeah.
Like you're not just a wart on the skin. You're not just there. Like you play a role. And when the enemy can convince us that that we're insignificant or our role doesn't matter, we not only hurt ourselves, because when we serve and we use our gifts, we grow.
Yeah.
Like we're hurting the rest of the body.
Yeah.
There's something missing.
What in the narrative of the church makes people think that? I mean, why? There's so many things that need to be done, but why do people in their mind somehow minimize the fact of what God's given them the gifts for? Because, you got people that come out of management experiences, and so they're really good at helping us organize things within the church, or you have people that were, stayed at home, like a mom stayed at home, and then she comes into the kids ministry and she's amazing.
Yeah.
Why do you think these people get this narrative in their head that this is not really a gift? This is just, I'm going to do something. What's the church putting out there that sometimes makes people feel that way?
I don't think Harbor Light does it, but I think the American church kind of struggles with kind of making celebrities of pastors in those roles.
Yeah.
And so, it's that mindset. But if I'm not in the light,
right,
then it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it. I think sometimes we don't realize how gifted we are.
Yeah.
That the things that come easy to you, like you are amazing at this, and your creativity and your writing and your teaching, and like I know you work at it.
Yeah.
But it comes natural to you because that's the way God wired you in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And so I imagine for you, it can be like, this isn't that big of a deal, because it's something you enjoy and love. And so I think sometimes we discredit our own abilities and gifts.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
No, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think you're right. I think you get a mindset of what you think the body should look like, and unfortunately, it's not the way a body looks like.
Right.
And
I think it's kind of like you can go. It's easy to. Anybody can get up and preach.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Well, anybody can get up on that stage and say something.
Right. Yeah.
But you and I have heard both.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Some people that shouldn't be on that stage.
Yeah. Really.
Because that's just not what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. 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 It's the same thing with the music ministries and all those different things. I mean, it seems like sometimes people get spotlighted like, oh man, I wish, I could do that or whatever else. But, for me, one of the things that I enjoy on a Sunday is walking in and knowing that we have people at the Welcome Center that are smiling and they're excited to welcome people in.
Yep.
To me, that is like a huge role, more than
absolutely
pretty much anything else, that happens in the beginning of the morning.
Yeah. And I think about like Jessica McFall, who takes that role seriously.
Oh, she does. Yeah.
Like very seriously. Like she wants to make sure that we have what is needed for those guests, and that her team, that the other people are equipped for that. And like she's good at organizing, and she'll take that usher's room, and she's taken ownership of that, and that's her gifting.
She does it well.
And she does it well.
But it's so important, because I think if, just thinking about that one job, when somebody comes in and they don't have somebody that's smiling at them and saying, welcome to, Harbor Light. But you go, I mean, you've probably been to churches where you walk in and people look at you like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
It really sets the tone for the rest of it. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Really sets the tone. But when you got people that are welcoming you and hugging you and wanting to get to know who you are, and it's a wonderful first step into the possibility of what God wants to do in their life.
I'm a pastor. I go to church for a living, but like, it's amazing how uncomfortable it is when I go to a church that I don't know anybody.
Oh yeah.
And like that role to make people go, okay, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
It makes a big.
It does. Yeah. I think so. One of the last things I wanted to look at was your message here was, as a church, we do not simply gather, we come together and assemble. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, we don't simply gather; we come to be assembled. Mm-hmm. And I think when we kind of are approaching our gifts, either in that pride way or that unbelief way, I'm better than everybody else, or I'm not good enough, we kind of isolate ourselves. When in reality, we gather so that we can bring our gifts together.
Yeah.
And I wish that I could say. All of our gifts are, when God puts them in us, they're perfect.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah.
And in fact, we're constantly growing in them, and we're evaluating them, and we're having people do that iron sharpens iron in our lives to help us get better. And so I think part of us gathering on Sundays or in small groups or in Free Life or in Wednesday night live classes is the coming together to let the Holy Spirit bring us together, to sometimes even reveal what those gifts and talents and abilities and reveal to us what that role is. And if we're just gathering, if we're just showing up to fill a seat or to check off a church attendance thing, we're missing out on the opportunity for that.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that idea when you talked about it, coming together, assembling, because it means that it's an active worship experience. Like you're not just coming here to sit in a seat and listen to somebody preach and then go home. Because I pastored in churches I pastored at, people are so in a hurry to get out of there to get to family dinners, get to the restaurant, whatever it is. And then what happens in the service kind of gets, overlooked because they're so busy thinking about something else. But it's amazing when we come together and it's an assembly mindset that we're all here to do something together, and it could happen within the church or be encouraged to do something outside as a group. That's just an amazing idea. I think it's a groundbreaking idea for a lot of people, especially that come to our church, because maybe they've never experienced that before.
Right.
That, you want me to do something? You want me to be a part of something? Right. And I think it's so important that people realize that everybody has a part and a place. And I think one cool thing that Pastor Gary's always done is it's not like he's going to define it for you. You define it and let me know what you want to do, and I'll be standing behind it.
Yeah.
And I'll support it.
Yeah.
And to me, that's just an amazing thing, because a lot of churches don't want you to do that, right? You have this criteria that we're going to follow. These are the things that we want covered. Anything outside of that, we don't really need it. But here it's like, you do what you want to do. If you want to come up with some weird off the cuff idea and, you want to minister to people and you got a gift for it, by all means do it. Absolutely. So, well, we're going to wrap it up. We're a little bit over time, but it's just good to have you here on the show. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got one little final thing a story that kind of wraps this up a little bit that I stumbled across, if you don't mind me sharing.
Yeah, let's hear it.
There we go. I kind of got it on my notes here, but Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
I'm not a big baseball guy, but I know enough to know about Babe Ruth. He was considered one of the greatest, if not the greatest, home run slugger of all time. During his career, he autographed many baseballs, but he only put his name on 7 bats. Okay, he used it that he used to hit home runs, anyways. Because he autographed so few, each of these bats had incredible value. The first bat vanished into thin air, lost for literally decades, to only have it resurfaced back in 2006. So not too far long ago.
Yeah.
The bat used to hit the home run in the Yankee Stadium against the Boston Red Sox on April 18th, 1923, was given away by Ruth's agent as a prize in a home run contest. No one at the competition got any contact information about the winner, so when he left with his bat, it disappeared from the public eye. In 1988, the man was sick and on his deathbed, losing a battle to a prolonged illness, and he lived out every member of his family and his closest friends, but he had a faithful nurse who served him for years during his sickness. Before he died, the man presented his nurse with this prized autographed bat. Although this gesture was very sentimental to her, she had no idea that it was actually worth anything. And for the next 18 years, she kept it under her bed. Okay, after retiring from nursing, she hoped to open a restaurant, but didn't have any money to do so. One day she thought of this bat that she had under her bed and wondered if it might be worth something. She took it to a local sports shop to have it appraised, and when the owner suspected it might be the missing Babe Ruth bat, he brought it to several experts, and after hearing her story and carefully testing the conditions of the bat, determined it was the real Babe Ruth bat. In 2006, she auctioned the bat through, was it Sotheby's?
Yeah.
Sotheby's, for almost $1.3 million.
Oh my goodness.
The woman kept only as much money as she needed to start the restaurant and gave the rest to begin the foundation to serve the Children's Babe Ruth Foundation. that he wanted to help. When a reporter asked her why she would give away so much of her money, she answered, "The bat was only valuable because Babe Ruth's name was on it. Since he made it valuable, the only reasonable thing I could do was something that would honor his life." If you and I are followers of Christ, what makes us valuable is the name of Jesus written on our hearts. Because of what he did for us on the cross, our only reasonable response is to do something with our lives that honors him.
Wow.
And that's being part of the body of Christ.
That's good. You didn't share that story.
I did not, no.
Well, that's good.
Isn't it good?
Yeah.
So,
wow.
So that's all I got for you.
I like it. Well, thank you for spending some time with me in the podcast room.
It was fun. Thanks for having me.
And well, next week we got another message. We're going to be talking about the family. The church's family.
Yes.
And then after that, we have the church's bride. So be looking forward to next Sunday as we continue this series. I think it's going to be good.
It's going to be great.
Yeah.
You're on.
I am on.
You're going to kill it.
I hope so.
Don't kill the family.
I've got to, follow you after that. That's be interesting. No competition, but yeah, you seem to have a really good use of videos, which I do not. I tend to find videos and I'm thinking to myself, this is good. And then somebody's like, did you see what was in that video? No, I did not.
No, there's been times where I've tried a video thinking it was going to knock it out of the park. And then it was just like, cricket.
People are like, what?
What was that? And so,
yeah. Well, I will tell you, one time I tried that prayer from Talladega Nights for one of my messages. That did not go over very well. And it was in a group of pastors. And I thought, this would be funny. I think it's funny.
I think it's funny.
But apparently it wasn't funny to the clergy that were sitting there. So, well, we'll see you next week at the podcast here, same time, same station, usually the 4th hour of our broadcast. And we'll talk to you later.
We want you to know, find, discover, change with us. More podcast ending transmission now.